with the techniques and the tools that you guys all taught me, I was able to do that kind of when I wanted to. And it took me a while to realize, okay, like, yes, I love this time freedom, but where do I want myself in the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years? Because what I'm doing right now isn't going to get me anywhere other than enjoying time with my family, which I love.
Hey, Freedom Fighters, welcome here to another weekly episode of the REI Freedom Podcast. Guys, do I have a special treat for you today? I am so excited to share this guest with you guys today. You are going to be listening to the real deal when it comes to off-market acquisitions. There's very few in this industry that have accomplished what this person has done and continues to do. So if you don't have a pen and paper handy, you may want to bring it, or make sure that you listen to this again, because this person is going to bring a ton of value today. I am so excited. I'm going to introduce him. There's so much to go over. We're going to try to pack this in 20-25 minutes, but it may go a little longer. We'll see. But this person started working for us a few years ago as an acquisition person. He has gone on to do his own thing. We'll talk a little bit about his story today. He's based out of Rochester, New York. He is the upstate Western New York acquisition specialist guru up there. He owns upstate New York, and he's here with us today. His name is Dylan Saxon. Dylan, thanks for being a guest on the episode today.
Glad to be here.
Dylan doesn't do a lot of this public stuff. He's a guy who stays with himself, and he just puts his head down, and he's just making big things happen. And many of you guys don't even know it unless you live up in the area. So Dylan is married with 3 lovely children. He's got a beautiful wife, and they've done really well for themselves. But Dylan, your story to where you are today, and I'd love to share where you are in your life with success. But boy, you came from a place where many people in success have not come from. Share a little bit about how you got into real estate, and tell us a little bit about you and your story, please.
Just a quick background about myself. Roughly about 7 or 8 years ago, I was with my now wife. I was dating her at the time. We were living together, and I was working as an assistant store manager for a local grocery store chain here, Tops Markets. And she came to me and she was like, man, you're working 100 hours a week, and I really want to have kids, a family with you one day, but I can't do that if you are working 100 hours a week, not here. I want to be married and have a family with somebody who's present. So that really hit home to me, and I started thinking, what can I do? So I started Googling, and I found a local coaching program here in Western New York. Jeremy knows him really well. Chris Noggle, Flip Out Academy, really great guy. I ended up quitting Tops, starting that coaching program, and went through the beginning phases of the coaching program. I met a wholesaler, found a flip, and I was 26 at the time, 25, 26. And I thought I knew everything. So I go into this flip and I completely just push off the coaching program. Long story short about the flip, I ended up losing about 80 grand on it. I hired a bad contractor, stole money, did things wrong. Anything that could have gone wrong with that flip, it really went wrong. But there was one thing that I did do right through the whole process, and that was I paid my lender every single month, no matter what. My house was one day away from going into foreclosure. I had cars repoed. I was eating spaghetti sauce and dollar pasta for weeks at end. I was working 3 jobs, picking up needles in this old subway tunnel of Rochester that's not even active, never was active. I was doing whatever I can to scrape by. We maxed out like TJ Maxx credit cards to buy food, because TJ Maxx has a like little food section there. Whatever we could do to just get by, all while having our first kid together, which was just a complete and total, like, if it wasn't for the kid, I may not have made it through, but I kind of had to. I had no choice at that point, because it wasn't just me and Emma anymore. We had a kid in the equation. So long story short, we ended up being able to finish the project with some loans from family. We were paying our lender the whole time. Eventually we were able to sell it. We were about 80 grand in the hole, and I tucked my tail, kind of went back to working my day job, said real estate's not for me. And back around pandemic time, early 2020, the lender, Matt Morneau, came up to me and says, I think I have an opportunity for you. He introduced me to Jeremy at that point, and Jeremy offered me a position of acquisition manager for his Rochester Buffalo wholesaling company. I really didn't know what I was getting into. Wholesaling was always told to me like, you don't want to be a wholesaler, you want to be a flipper. But I dived head first because I was like, it's better than what I'm doing now, working at a dry cleaner. that's what we can make happen. The rest is kind of history.
Did we make it happen? And Dylan, so for you guys listening, like, guys, you don't understand, like, Dylan was at rock bottom. Most of us give up at that time. I mean, desperate times, right? Like maxing out all his credit, literally no money left, barely getting by to feed his family, right? And as a male and a provider, not to be sexist, but we take pride in that. And that can eat us up inside, because I went through that myself during the Great Recession, so I know what that's like. And kind of bring you guys how we came to contact with Dylan, how we all came to be was, so we went out and met with Chris Noggle as well. We were learning about his private lending. We met Matt Morneau, who's a good friend of ours and business partner in different ventures. We went out there and just said, wow, I think we could do wholesaling out there, because we were in New Hampshire, Massachusetts. We're like, there's a lot of distressed properties out there. Let's do it. We started doing it virtually. It was a complete disaster. We tried to hire somebody. That was a complete disaster. And Matt Morneau says, hey, I think there's somebody that would be a good fit. Here's the situation. I lent him on a flip. He did a terrible job with it. He lost money, but he was very transparent. He was honest. He did everything you would ever want somebody to do. He did. And we brought him on and we started training you, and you worked a full-time job, did this on the side. And after about 2 or 3 months, you quit that job, came on full-time with us. And you went from 0 experience in this industry to 150 off-market closed wholesales in 2.5 years. 2.5 years, guys. 150 deals from no experience at all. So there's a whole bunch of things that we're going to unpack there. But to top it all off, our last year doing business together in Western New York home buyers was 2022. And that last year, Dylan himself, as a one-man show, acquisitions and dispositions. All we did was provide marketing and try to host inspections, and we should have provided him a lot more help than we did. One of the regrets I have, but he did 78 wholesale deals himself in 1 calendar year. Now, obviously, we provided him a lot of great coaching. We provided him leads. We had Dan Toback coach him a lot, but we gave him the tools. But he took those tools and he made it happen every single day. Dylan, you're one of the hardest working people I've ever met, and it's a credit to your success as we stand here today. And I'm sure you're well past 200 properties as we stand here, and I can't wait to hear more about that. But I mean, 150 deals in 2.5 years, dude. That's amazing.
It was a journey. It was a lot of up and downs, and I kind of rode that roller coaster ride through the ups and downs. There was a lot of good, bad, and in between through the whole ride. It was all thanks to you guys. You guys provided everything that I would have ever needed to become good at this. I took it and ran with it and did what I needed to do to provide for my family, so I wouldn't ever slip back to where I was. But it was because you provided me all the training, all the leads, everything that anybody could have ever asked for. And like when you guys started your coaching program, I was like, this is freaking awesome, because now more people like me get to learn from the best. And where I am today, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys.
Well, my success has a lot to do with you as well. And, it's funny because you don't have any sales experience, right? So a lot of people don't realize, like, you're not a natural born salesperson. If anybody gets to meet you, you're definitely the blue collar contractor type of guy, right? You're just very old school blue collar guy. But you're very relatable to people in your community. You're very honest. You're very sincere. You're very hardworking. And you have this ability to connect with people. And you've been able to achieve all the success. A lot of people won't even get to 50 deals, never mind 150. But you're doing this in New York State, the worst state to do any wholesale deals, because everybody has to have an attorney because it's an attorney state. And everything takes forever to close down there. So acquisitions is remarkable what you achieve, but getting all the stuff to close is like a whole nother can of worms that you were able to overcome at a high level, which is remarkable. Absolutely remarkable.
Yeah, New York State is tough. And the biggest thing that we learned in this market is if you find somebody good on that attorney side, you stick with them and you develop a process with them. If that process stays the same and stays consistent, you're going to be better off. We actually just lost our paralegal out here that I use with my attorney. She left the office for another office, and the process is broken now. And in this little bit of time, it has become hectic and chaotic. And I have to make the decision right now. Do I try to train this new person that's taking over for her, or do I go try to find where she went to? It's never ending with the attorney stuff.
For any of our attorneys listening, I apologize, but attorneys suck.
They do.
They do. Most of them do anyway. And up in New York, they are a nightmare. We have one of our students in Albany, New York. We were just talking about it. I said, dude, get ready. You're going to do great, but the attorneys up here are going to be your biggest challenge, and they typically are. So we finished being our business together in the end of 2022. We decided to part ways. We basically dismantled Western New York home buyers. We went over to Florida with Dan, and then you continue to do your own business with Dylan Buys Western New York. Tell us a little bit about that journey, because now you have 2 years under your belt as a business owner, not just an acquisition specialist, but a business owner. How has that been for you?
I've enjoyed it. It's definitely completely different than what I was doing before, because I was doing it all as far as acquisitions, dispositions, and I thought I was doing everything when I was working for you guys. I was like, oh, I could do this. I'm doing everything anyways. But when you're in that moment, you're like, you get here, you're like, oh crap, marketing. Oh crap, marketing budget. Oh crap, I just messed up on that marketing channel. I spent $30,000 and nothing came of it. And I've fallen my fair share of times during this time. I've made mistakes. I have messed up. I haven't done the volume I was doing. I am not marketing nearly as much as you guys were, but I am still learning the process every single day and continuing to overcome every single hurdle that comes my way. I'm enjoying it. It is allowing me the time freedom that I always wanted with my family. And I recently got to the point where I hired an awesome acquisition guy myself, which I never, ever thought I was going to do. It kind of just fell into my lap, because when I left, I was like, I just want to do mom and pop, support my family, and just do enough deals to like take care of my family, invest some and buy some rentals, buy some flips. But about February of 24, this guy comes to me and says, hey, do you want to JV some deals? I'm really good at finding out market properties. And 95% of the time when people come to me and say, let's JV, they either don't ever put anything under contract. Whatever they put under contract is too high, and they're not coachable. They don't want to work hard to get to a point where they can actually JV a deal with me. But Jerry, his first deal, we crushed it on. And throughout 2024, he kept on bringing a couple more JVs here and there. And about September, October this year, he's like, I want to start to do this full time. I'm like, well, don't quit your job. Like, let's see if we can make this happen. So I brought him on in October, and I think he's done about 10 deals since October.
Wow, that's amazing. And we're recording this in the beginning of January for people listening. So that's only a few months.
And he decided that he was comfortable enough to quit his W-2.
Good for him. That's great. So now you're doing what we did with you, which is awesome. You're moving forward now. I love it. I love it.
Like I said, I didn't think I was going to get here. I didn't think I ever wanted to have employees. I just kind of wanted to do like the mom and pop thing. Kind of like Jeremy said, I'm like the neighborly guy, like Mr. Neighborhood. And that's what I thought I wanted. But when something that good falls into your lap, you kind of just can't pass it up. He was doing it already. We were JVing deals. Now I'm just giving him the resources to do it at a larger scale. He's loving it. I'm loving it. My sister's moving back up here from Baltimore, Maryland, and she wants to get involved in the business. So maybe by the end of 2025, I may just be operating. I don't know how I'm going to like that. I'm a control freak. I think Jeremy knows that. I was very much a control freak when I worked with him. When they tried to give me help, and I was like pushing back, because I just like to do everything myself. But we're going to try to keep on growing and adapting in the business and see where it takes us.
Well, that'll be an area as an entrepreneur that you need to grow. We all go through it, and you do things a certain way and it leads to success. Now, as an entrepreneur, I could tell you that it's unlikely that you're going to find people that do things as good as you. But if you can find people that do it as 80, 90% as good as you, and you're able to scale that and leverage their ability in time, you're still going to do well, but your life will be a lot better. And I'd like to talk a little bit about time freedom, because you mentioned it. When you did 78 deals here last year together, you didn't have any time. I mean, you were killing yourself. I mean, to achieve that kind of success, and you burnt yourself out. And I don't want to think everybody would, right? And you're married. You just had your second kid. Now you have 3 little kids, and you want to spend time with your growing family. And I know with Emma, that was really important. You guys had some loss in your family as well. So now it's like, do we really just want to work for money, or do we want to start building a life where we have the skill set, we can start to have more time to spend as a family and make enough money to live comfortably within our means of how we want to live? And it seems like you've made a really good transition to that lifestyle. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
That was one of the biggest things that kind of led me to where I am. It kind of, with Tops, I didn't have time. I came into this thinking I was going to have time. I did that 78 deal year, and there was a lot of stress and strain on my relationship during that year. I'm not going to lie. And like you said, you used the burnout word. I burned out. I was done. I was toast. I needed to reset. And part of that reset, unfortunately, was leaving a great team behind. But at the end of the day, it was what needed to be done in the moment. And
It was best for you long term anyway.
it was, but I got to the point where I made that jump and I kind of almost went too far at the beginning, where all I was doing was spending time with my family. And when I needed a deal, I was like, oh crap, I got to go find a deal to make some more money. I wasn't treating my business like a business at first. It was kind of more of a hobby, and I was loving living life. Like I tell people, like the year of 23, I kind of didn't work.
Yeah. Which is amazing that you had the financial ability to do that.
Yeah, and like I said, whenever I needed to go pop a deal, I would go find a deal. With the techniques and the tools that you guys all taught me, I was able to do that kind of when I wanted to. And it took me a while to realize, okay, like, yes, I love this time freedom, but where do I want myself in the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years? Because what I'm doing right now isn't going to get me anywhere other than enjoying time with my family, which I love. So I kind of had to reel it back in, kind of get things set up more business. And I think doing it that way, getting it set up in a more business sense, I can't think of the proper word for it right now, kind of led me to draw in that person of Jerry and maybe draw my sister in or somebody else from Rochester if she doesn't work out. And I think eventually I'll be able to have that time freedom again if they all work out and do everything that they're supposed to do.
You'll have some time freedom. It may not be as much as you want, but you'll definitely have it. I mean, 2023, what you were able to achieve to have that kind of time freedom. I mean, you've earned it from the year before, but it's hard to come by. As a business owner, you're always, it's never passive. And what I love though is that you mentioned the skill set that you learn. And this is something like I like to share to some of our students joining our coaching program, is that they don't really understand. Like once you are a master off-market acquisition specialist. Like you have a skill set now. I could drop Dylan off in any part of the country. If he needs to go get a deal, he's going to be able to get a deal within 30 days, right? Maybe even less. And the skill set that you can learn will prevent you from ever being broke again, right? So no matter what, like if you didn't have the skill set and you were working at the supermarket or the dry clean or whatever, and you lost your job, there was no guarantee you were going to be able to make financial income again. But with this skill set, you're never going to be broke because you have a skill set that you can make millions of dollars from at any given time in your life.
It's funny you said that. You could kind of drop me off anywhere and I would go find a deal, because while I was kind of transitioning and figuring myself out, figuring my life out, I broached this idea with Emma, and I was like, what if I did like a YouTube channel called like The Traveling Wholesaler?
I love that.
I moved to a state, like we buy an RV, we go park it in some state, and I can't leave that state until I get a deal. And I was like, if we didn't have young kids, that would have been freaking awesome. But maybe one of these days, once they're a little bit older or something, if no one steals my idea before then. But that would have been a fun challenge.
Yeah, you'd have millions of subscribers, and I have no doubt that you'd probably get 50 deals in about 2 years, because you'd hit all 50 states within about one state every 2 months, if not sooner. You may even do it in a year, knowing you, which is really impressive. It may take you longer to drive state to state than it actually takes you to get a deal.
Yeah, go to Alaska. I was like, would I go to Alaska and Hawaii? Yeah, I'd go to Alaska and Hawaii and do it too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, listen, I want to get into this deal that we talked about, but before we get there, I just want to wrap up your story. So we're recording this just in the beginning of 2025. You started working for us at the end of 2019, right? Right before 2020, you were part-time. You just wrapped up 5 years in this business. And I always tell everybody, there's this misconception out there that you can be rich in 5 years. You can't be rich in this business 5 years, whether you're buying rentals, flipping house, or anything. You can make good money, but you can't be rich. But your life can drastically change in 5 years. Your life already has, and this is what I want to segue to, is talk about that change. But now you have 5 years of experience. Imagine what the next 5 years you're going to be able to accomplish, Dylan, with everything that you know now, right? Seeing what you've already achieved in 5 years.
It's crazy to think about, because like I said, we were a day away from foreclosure. I went and bought a second house. We're in our third house now. We bought 50 acres. I get time with my kids. Most days I can pick my kid up from school, drop him off to school. And I'm excited for the next 5, 10, 15 years, because again, I have these tools that can keep on parlaying themselves, for lack of a better word, into more opportunities. And I'm just really excited for what it's going to bring, because like I see like people that are 5, 10 years ahead of me, like Jeremy, someone like that. It's going to be a fun ride. I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, it's amazing. In 5 years, you've gone from basically borderline losing everything you had to a
Yep.
point where you have a beautiful property on 50 acres. You have a camper on a campground. You have all
Yep.
these different toys, right? But more
Yeah.
importantly, your three boys will never know what it's like not to have mom and dad at home. They're
Yeah.
always home. Like you said, bringing them to school, picking them up. That is a luxury most people never get to experience as a child or as a parent. And you get to do.
My parents were never around, and it's like I feel like I'm around too much now because he's like, "Oh, where's Dad? Why do you have to go to work?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Because I do have to work."
I know. Our kids are the same way. We had a situation not too long ago where the kids were like, it was like in the middle of the day. They're like, we need something from the house. Bring it to the high school right now. We're like, we're on a meeting or appointment. We're looking at a house or something. I can't flip or something. And they're like, what do you mean? You're not home? Like,
What do you
they just
mean?
expect us to be home at the kitchen table all the time. But it's like, no, we actually leave the house occasionally. But we've been able to, with this business, get them accustomed to us always being around. And making money is amazing. We all love making money. But being able to provide that as parents is probably the biggest gift that we get out of this industry.
Absolutely. I love being here for them, and I think they're going to reap the benefits of that down the road and hopefully turn out at least a little bit like me. Maybe not all a bit like me, but a little bit like me.
I think they're going to be a lot like you. You watch out. They're going to give you a run for your money.
The five going to be 6-year-old is.
Before I hammer you with a bunch of questions, I want to talk about this cancellation that generated a large sum of money. That's really how I don't know any other way to just lay it up on a tee for you, but tell us about how a cancellation provided all this money for you, because this story is wild, but it's just you just being so knowledgeable from your experience in this business, turning something into nothing into something. It's just a remarkable story. I'm babbling. Please tell us about this story.
The story starts all the way back on April 15th, 2024. I met the seller at their house, well, his grandmother's house. He inherited, and he was looking to sell it. So went through the house, did the whole process, and we ended up coming up to an agreement to purchase it. And we ran through the process, the whole dispo process, got someone to buy the property from us for a $62,000 assignment. And one of the things there in the living room that I did, there's a couple of things I did. I made sure I saw the will, and that person was going to be the executor as per the will. And I offered assistance in using our attorney to do the probate. When I offered assistance to do the probate for him, he's like, no, the person who drafted the will is a family attorney. They're going to do the probate for me. I was like, okay, but they have to communicate with my attorney every step of the way. I will loop them together. I kind of prefaced this all like, we're going to stay on top of this. I'm going to be in control of this, because if I'm not in control of this in New York State, nothing ever gets done. So a month goes by.
100% true there.
Me and my attorney, we're hammering this attorney to get us any kind of information. Seller's still like, okay, we're still using this attorney. I'm going to go to his office. I'm going to do XYZ to try to get him to communicate. And 3-4 months go by and nothing on the probate got done. And I finally went to the seller. I was like, listen, it's August, September now. We need to get something done here, or else we're going to have to talk about a price reduction. This is dragging on way too long. Either you use my attorney or we wait for your probate attorney. But if we wait for yours, I'm getting a price reduction. I want $20,000 less on the purchase and sale agreement if we have to wait any longer. He decided, you know what, let's use your attorney. So we switched him over to my attorney. My attorney got started with the probate right away. And we got to about beginning of October this past year. And my attorney calls me. He says, hey, Dylan, I'm having an issue here. There's an uncle that needs to sign a waiver for surrogate's court, and he's refusing to sign the waiver. I'm like, okay, nothing I haven't dealt with before. Let's go see what's going on. Let's talk to the seller first. So I talked to the seller, and he straight up lied to me. He was trying to give me the runaround like, oh, no, my uncle's not refusing. He's just not in town. He's in China right now. And I was like, okay, well, give me his number. I was like, I want to talk to him myself. So long story short, the reason why uncle wasn't signing the paperwork is because he wanted to buy the house from the seller. And I was like, well, we've been working on this since April. My attorney's got the probate essentially done. Like, all we need is your signature and we could get this wrapped up. He's like, well, I'm not signing. I'm buying the property. I took a step back and I was like, what can I do here? Because at that point, like, sometimes you just know in this business after doing it for long enough where someone's just not going to back down off of what they want. If they have their mind made up, sometimes their mind is made up and you can't change it. This is going to sound crazy, but let me throw this out there. So I called the seller. I said, you know what? We've been working on this for 5, 6, 7 months now. I've paid my attorney for the probate. He's pretty much got it done. Listen, I get it. Family. If your uncle wants to buy this is my price. And I was like, there's no freaking way this uncle's going to pay this price. Because
You might as well ask, right? Never hurts to ask.
I was like, because I told the seller, like, either he pays this price or I'm forcing the sale. I'll pay my attorney $10,000 to force the sale. If that's what I have to do, that's what I have to do. So I was like, if your uncle really wants it that bad, he needs to pay me $62,000 for lost profit. He needs to pay the survey title fees that my attorney has already incurred, and he needs to pay for the probate. And he doesn't get to use my attorney for the probate. My attorney doesn't want to be involved with him if this is the kind of business he does, and this is how he wants to act. And long story short, a couple weeks later, uncle calls me and says, hey, what's the address to your attorney's office? I'm driving a check there right now. And I was like,
what?
I'll text it to you. I'll text it to you. It wasn't a certified check, so it was like 2 weeks before we knew if the funds were going to clear or not. And 2 weeks later, the funds cleared.
You made $62K.
$62,000 on that cancellation.
On a house that you never even bought or signed or anything. You just had under contract.
Yep. The attorney got paid. We got him squared up. We made money. And the uncle was happy. I don't know if the seller was happy because I looked it up later on. The uncle only paid him like $100,000 for the house. So he was getting less money out of the deal than he would have if he just would have been able to go.
You can't control that. So
nope. I gave him 2 options, and that's the option that they chose. Again, I'm happy about it. It worked out well for me. The attorney got paid.
$62,000. That's like more money than most people make in a year. You made it off the deal that should have even happened.
As I was getting ready for the podcast today, I was like, have I ever done anything like remotely close to that for a cancellation? I remember one time we had a cancellation with Western New York home buyers that we did $15,000 on.
Yeah.
And I was like, where did I get the balls to ask for $62,000? And I was like, I have nothing to lose. I could either, like I said, try to force a sale or try to get money out of it. And if they try to negotiate down, it's a starting point.
Well, Dylan, you're also the person that made us $53,000 on Christmas morning one year too, because you answered the phone. So
yep, that was a good one. I was like, as soon as we're done opening presents, I got to go make a phone call because no one fills out a form at 8:00 on Christmas morning. And
unless they're motivated.
Yep. And I was there the next day. And as he was putting pen to pad, one of our biggest competitors was ringing the phone.
Yep.
And sorry, too late.
Yep. It's all about speed, right? You got to act with great urgency. So in that $62,000 deal or non-deal that turned into just payment, what do you think you did right in that situation? Pull all that together.
Honestly, I think it was just my confidence in how I presented myself in the situation. I was in the moment, I was authoritative. You have 2 options. Option A, you keep on fighting me and I force it and I'm going to win regardless. Or option B, if you want it that bad, you can have it, but this is my price. You don't have any other options. These are the 2 options you have. If I was someone who had not done as many deals as I've done, if I didn't build the confidence over the years that I have, learning everything that I have, that would have never happened. But one thing that I want everybody to do out there is ask. Why not ask? If you run into a situation that's similar and someone's trying to cancel a contract, especially when you have this much time put into it and this much effort into it, months of your time, you better be asking because you just never know. Even if they don't give you the full amount, even if they cut it in half, I would have been happy. I would have taken it.
So we're running long, so I want to wrap up with a bunch of questions because I have somebody who's super experienced here on the podcast today that is an expert at acquiring off-market properties. So think about you back in the day, just getting started in this business, maybe somebody who doesn't want to work as an acquisition person, but wants to start their whole wholesaling business, but is afraid to start, afraid to take the plunge, was trying to learn things, analysis paralysis. As somebody who's been there, done that, what kind of advice would you give somebody like that right now?
So someone just starting off and it's kind of on the fence about, do I want to do this? Is it real? Does it actually happen? Can I actually do it? Talk to people who have done it. Surround yourself. I mean, what I would do if I was just starting off is I would find someone locally in my market that has done it. And I would do whatever I could to be attached to that person's hip and learn from them. And if that's not an opportunity for me, I would find a coach and I would make sure that I did enough homework and research about that coach to make sure that they are worth my time. Like I know here in Rochester, we have a couple local coaches that personally I wouldn't pay for, but there are coaches out there. I still have a coach. I'm sure you still have a coach. You got to keep on learning. And when it comes to analysis paralysis and like just taking that leap, you got to understand you're going to make mistakes. I've made thousands of mistakes. I've effed up more than probably most that are listening to this podcast. And if I can do it from where I came from, I was always the stupid kid. If I could do it where I came from, you guys could do it too. And like, it can be life-changing just jumping off that ledge and letting go of your fear.
I love that. You definitely got to let go of that fear. But after you let go of that fear, what does it take to be successful in this industry? Because, I mean, obviously you've achieved it. So what does it take to do that?
A lot of people think that real estate wholesaling is easy money. I see these people come out of the woodwork all the time and they're like, oh, I'm going to get this huge assignment. But at the end of the day, it's harder than it looks. You have to stay consistent. You have to figure out. One thing that I've learned since like doing the business thing on my own is you have to stay laser focused. You can't get shiny object syndrome. You have to just keep your feet turning, keep your head down and keep on going. If you stop and you look shiny object, you're going to get distracted. You're going to fall off the train. It's really just staying consistent and laser focused on what your goals are and have clear, obtainable goals.
And now that you've been on the acquisition side, disposition side, the business owner, what do you think is like the biggest thing you've learned, the biggest lesson you've learned personally in your years of developing from zero to hundreds of deals at this point?
The biggest thing that I've learned personally through this whole journey is I can always learn more. And there's always people around me, even though you might not think they're not on my level. I've done way more deals than them. Like, still talk to these people, still network with these people because they might have ideas. They might have experiences that you don't have. Like, keep on learning and stay humble. Like,
I like that.
No matter what you do, how successful you are, if you get arrogant, you're just going to get knocked down. Just stay humble and do your thing and try to piss off as many people as possible.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how much success you have, you're still going to be making mistakes. Obviously, I still make a ton too. You know, we have a flip right now that we're looking at like a $40,000 loss. We never thought that would happen, but live and learn. Things happen. We still make mistakes, and that's just part of doing business. All right, so we're obviously very long here. So one last question I want to ask you. We call the show REI Freedom because Shelly and I feel like freedom through real estate investing's the dream here, right? And we all achieve it in different ways, or what we think freedom through real estate investing is different for everybody, right? Some people want to just scale and do stuff nationally, make a ton of money. Some people want to live on a boat and do things remotely. Some people want to live in Antigua, right? And run things remotely in Rochester, whatever the case may be. It looks different for everybody. But I want to know for you, Dylan, personally, what is freedom through real estate investing? What does REI Freedom look like for you?
For me, REI Freedom looks like being able to be here for my family while providing a life for them that I never had growing up, where they don't have to worry about, hey, mom, hey, dad, I need a new pair of cleats. Well, you're going to have to fit into your cleats from last year because we don't have the money. And being able to provide them experiences and provide myself with experiences. Like, I never traveled growing up. We love to travel with the kids now. It's really, for me, it's being able to live life by my terms with my family without having to worry about, okay, how much money is in the bank account? How much, like, we could only go on vacation once this year. No, we're going to go 5 times. It's really just being able to be there for my family. My family is everything to me. And we just bought this 50 acres. We're going to start a farm on it.
That's amazing. Which, if you were working a 9-to-5 job, you would never have the time to do. But now you work from home, building it really an empire from home in upstate New York. And it's only going to get bigger and better because, as we talked about, you're only 5 years in. Another 5, 10, 15 years from now is going to be mind blowing. And I can't wait to watch it all, dude. I'm really proud of you.
It's going to be a fun journey, and I'm excited for it. I'm going to be the old man up on a tractor one day.
Let's not rush it. We still have plenty of years. You're still young, so let's not push it. But someday. So, Dylan, if people want to connect with you, learn more about you, how should they go about doing that?
Yeah, you could look me up on Facebook, Dylan Saxon. You can go to my Instagram. You could go to my Instagram is Dylan Buys WNY. You could look up my website, dylanbuyswny.com. you could reach out to me. I'll give out my cell phone number. I'm not afraid to do that.
No, don't give it out. No, don't give it out.
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah, no, that's good. Some people do that. I think it's crazy. I'm not going to have a friend do that. But that's great. We'll put all that stuff in the show notes too, so people can reach out to you and connect with you. And I strongly suggest that people do, because Dylan is a true go-giver, and he's one of few people that has achieved things at a level of success that a lot of people aim to get there, but many never won't, because he's always going to be, he's like The Rock. He's the hottest working person in the room always. So Dylan, thank you so much for being on the show. I think we're going to have you on again, because I think there's still so much to learn from you, but we're twice as long as we wanted to be. But man, it was so much fun. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, that's this week's episode. Long episode, great episode. Dylan's a real deal. Reach out to him. I hope you get a lot of value out of this episode. Remember, we're all here to work hard to build a life of freedom through real estate investing, right? The REI Freedom Dream. For the Saxons, it's tons of freedom to be at home with the family, right? That's what it is for me and Shelly. What is that for you? And how are you going to go achieve that? As Dylan said, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard, but it's going to be worth it in the end. We'll see you guys next week.
Join us on our journey to achieve ultimate freedom through real estate investing. We understand that the road to success isn't easy, but together we can overcome any challenge. Please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us grow and reach more aspiring individuals. Visit our website to access additional resources and join our email list. Follow us on social media at REI Freedom for more updates. If you're interested in our acquisition coaching programs, visit reifreedom.com for more information. Let's go.